Hello people, welcome to another edition of Friday Night Knives, and tonight we are looking at the Benchmade Station Knife. This is my own personal knife for those who are wondering. It is one I purchased myself. I have lots of kitchen knives and I definitely enjoy this one. My lighting was off a little bit. And for those who are wondering, this is both a command and a promise. It's personal to me, but it's one I'm going to keep. Now then, let's take a look at this thing. First things first, this is a stone-washed finish. CPM 154 steel treated right. Benchmade usually does a really good job. Blue rich light handles with black G10 bolstering. Don't know if you can see that, but the bolstering, there's actually there's a little bit of the rich light on the bottom. It is kind of cool to see. It is fantastic. This is actually some of the best mating of two dissimilar materials, like a bolster, that I've ever seen. Like, I don't even know if I can, there's no gap. Like, I've seen some stuff that's close and you can get, like, you can find a gap. I can't even find a gap with a pointer or some sort of metallic. It's just smooth. So particularly amazing on that matchup there. Really, really nice on that. A couple other things on the size. We have approximately 5 7/8 as the crow flies, or about 148 millimeters when it comes to the edge length on it. If I go up here to the top, 2 1/4 top to bottom at the heel. It's actually a little bit, just a tiny bit over in order to get it to be the right angle, but approximately 2 1/4 top to bottom. All right, and so overall length, if we put this here, get us some, to get the right measurement, I might have to just take some of it off screen. It is about 10 5/8, just shy of, about 10 3/4. We'll give it. Close enough. All right. Couple of other relationary measurements. There it is next to a paramilitary too. If you look, you'll see it has a similar hand space. Absolutely fantastic. And here it is next to a para 3 lightweight. As you can see, definitely a lot more blade length. And it's just a blur. Again, a lot more, and of course, not just any leak, but a random leak. Still much, much larger. And of course, just keeping it in the family, the Benchmade Bug Out. Definitely larger. And whatever. Yeah, so definitely got those. I am going to give you a little bit more. So just because since this is a kitchen knife, here is an 8-inch Wusthof. It is for those of you who don't know, they don't make the Grand Prix 2 anymore. It is a thinner version of the Grand Prix. I love the drop of this. It makes for really, really nice cutting. It's not the best steel, but it's still one of my favorite, basically favorite chef's knives I have. I really wish it was in a better steel or this design, because this is one of my favorites with that thin blade. But as you can see, a lot of similar handle. One more here. It's probably something a little bit closer. This is an Enzo prep knife, 5-inch prep knife. Right? You see, I just want to really, really put it. Yeah, there's a bit of a thickness on the blade stock, but we'll come back to that. And another one that's probably closer to something else. This is my Mastermeister Nakiri SG2. Take a look at that. Yeah, thin blade stock. Look at how high that grind goes. Man. Now close to, I mean, this is supposed to be a 6.5-inch Nakiri, and it looks like it's a little bit shy. I get almost the same cutting edge as this Nakiri out of this. So yeah, that is quite a little knife, which is fantastic. It does come with a sheath. Get that in here. All right, so it does have its own sheath. And I don't have, I'm going to see if I can do this one more time, if I can find my little thing here, because I usually try and eyeball. My micrometer batteries are out, but let's see if I can't. Behind the edge is less than half a millimeter. Half a millimeter is 0.02, which means it is significantly less. It's not a quarter of a millimeter, so it's more than 0.01, but it is probably close to 0.015 behind the edge. It's less than 0.2 and probably a bit more than 0.014, sorry. It's probably about 15 to 18 hundredths of an inch behind the edge. Ridiculously thin. And with that tall grind, yeah, it's a little bit thick, but with that tall flat grind, that 2 1/4 inch height for that base on this triangle right here is some really, really slicey material. Oh my goodness, let me see. And just because we want to know, buddy, I don't know if you guys can see me start to shave the paper in 2 spots. But if you're wondering, yeah. It just, baby, this thing comes from the factory, well apexed and smooth as butter. And yeah, I'm not going to bring the kitchen stuff in here because holy moly, you guys, this thing is so slicey. Like kitchen knives are, right? They're meant to. And this thing's got a robust thickness and it has a single lane tank. So this isn't necessarily a heavy chopper. You can definitely do dicing and stuff with it. One other thing I want to pull on here is a full weight. So about 6.5 ounces. That's pretty light for a kitchen knife. Just to give you an idea of this Nakiri, right? It's very, very similar, very, very close. Now, a couple of things I want to put on this one, as long as a lot of kitchen handles are very, very round, and this one is not. They're usually extraordinarily contoured. The squareness of it really gives you the ability to do, a saber grip. It has great ergonomics for that, and it has good ergonomics for pinch grip. A lot of people want to come up here on the pinch grip, and you can, but I want to make sure and show something for those who would like to. There's the balance, right? It's behind the blade. For those who don't know, right? There's the balance. So if I come up on this thing, I am maneuvering at the balance point and levering. I'm holding this as the fulcrum and I'm levering that with the rest of my hand, right? That's kind of the pinch grip. But here the Wusthof, same kind of balance point. It's right, I'm right here when I pinch. And I'll bring my Enzo out because it's nice. It is right at the bolster. So when I pinch, I'm pinching right there. What that means is if you pinch up on here, which you can do, you're actually doing like a seesaw motion. You're doing it right here. So you're not, right? You're not on this heel part, like you can see from there, sorry. When you do this, it's rotating about the center mass, center balance, whatever you want to call it. It's rotating about the center of balance, and it has a downward, right? The center mass is lower right there. So it's edge down biased, and it tends to want you to pinch where this handle, and I may need some white background for you guys to see that better. Where that handle pinches in right there, where it's contoured in, that's really the best place to grip. It also means you're not you can get up on the blade, but there's really not a lot of point. This is where your strength really lies. You put your top knuckle over it, the other things, and yeah, you're good. It also means that your fingers are gripping on the handle, which for me on the rich light, like, yeah, we know that the G10 has like the peel ply texture, and it definitely has it too, but I love how this keeps that when it gets wet. I have done a little bit of maintenance. There is Carnubo-X on this rich light handle because the paper is usually not what's dyed, it's the glue, so the paper will start to turn white and start to rub. I mean, it's good. It roughens it up. It starts to get a lot of character and patina over time where it starts to rub, and you'll get wear spots, and it gets even stickier because it's essentially lots of little paper fibers that give you a lot of surface area to grab a hold of it. And that's really what it is. Like, it's not just fabric. You have lots of little tiny paper fibers, right? So yeah, same kind of thing. And it is really, really fantastic. I cannot begin to, I have replaced 3 of my knives by buying this one. I really have. This is from the Benchmade custom shop, in case the, everything else wasn't there. They are not inexpensive. If anyone owns a Benchmade, they're not inexpensive. But they're not cheap either. Right? They are very well built, and they generally have a really, really good warranty. If you're someone who's wondering, they call it yours for life for a reason. It is something they'll sharpen it, they'll fix it. If you bought it, they'll warranty it. Usually speaking, they are fantastic folks there. I have several. Not only did I get myself one, I bought another member of my family one as well. Honestly, this thing is everything I need in a prep knife, an akiri, and it stops just short of some chef knife, simply because being able to like get in that far into certain pieces of like meat or anything, or if I have something like a London broil, or if I have, anything that's a larger cut of meat or roast or anything like that, where this just isn't enough literally blade length to do the whole thing, I will go. I have longer knives, bread knives, and all that sort of stuff to get it. But quite honestly, bell peppers, I don't chop lettuce with this thing because I rarely, if ever, need an entire head of lettuce. So I'm always an apple, done. Peppers, bananas, just about 90% of the things I use this knife for is what I used this knife for. I almost never use my Akiri anymore. It just isn't, it doesn't do as good a job. Be perfectly honest. I like the SG2, and it's clad. Right, it's an SG2 core with cladding on the sides. It's really, really cool that way. But it also has a limit to how much. I don't have the magnet right here. In fact, you know what? It is worth showing. This isn't a Messer Meister review, but just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. The tang in this pretty much goes to about here. I can get it to move to it right there, but here it doesn't, right at the very end. So the tang pretty much goes to about right there. Okay. Or it's just so small and covered by the rest of the fake wood handle. It might not be fake, but I'm not betting on it. There's one pin right there at the bolster to hold it in. So it is definitely a tang. But yeah, I use this for a lot of stuff. It really works good. I just don't anymore. I honestly have these knives. I might be getting rid of them because honestly, I use this. It is so freaking useful in the kitchen. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are out, but I mean, honestly, it comes to breaking down meats. Unless it's a really large cut where you have to but draw cuts, push cuts, however you do chopping. The CPM 154, well heat treated. It's relatively tough as a kitchen steel. If you ask me, CPM 150, about the only steel that's going to beat CPM 154, I'll say American steel, that's going to beat CPM 154 is Magnet Cut. Its Toughness is right up there. All this, it's a little bit better. Vanex would be a non-American steel. But CPM 154 is a good corrosion resistance, lots of pitting resistance, good toughness, good edge retention that's either on par or above things like VG10, easily above things like 440C when heat treated properly. So it has better edge retention. And honestly, according to places like Knife Steel Nerds, Cedric and Ada, and other places that have some objective testing going on, it's as tough. It's tougher. It has better edge retention. It's close to D2 in its toughness. There's a lot of things to love about CPM 154 as a steel, and even more as a relatively affordable, I'm not going to say budget because it's still a particle metallurgy steel, but a relatively affordable kitchen steel, whereas opposed to something like an SG2 that very similar to S35VN. Yeah. It doesn't have quite the toughness though. I have had a couple of problems with this. It's a very good knife. I don't want to take this down. I got this knife. It's very good for what it does. And until I got this one, it was one of my favorites along with the prep knife. And this has taken the place of two of my favorite knives. And I love it. It is really good for the money, which we'll get to. You're going to be paying for this. Right, it's at least $300. Let's just put it that way. It's at least $300 for this kitchen knife. And there's a lot of people out there like, how can that be affordable? Well, it's not necessarily. It's not. For a Messermeister that was $150, right? Maybe $199 on sale for $149.99. Or my Wusthof that was normally $140 and I found it on sale for I believe it was $89.99 on a flash sale when they were reducing stock. So I do tend to find it, and even something like the Enzo you usually find for around $100. So, and anyone who has looked at really good kitchen knives knows $200-300 for a really good kitchen knife is pretty much par for the course. These might start running up around $400 if you get too fancy. Honestly, if you start putting on things like pictures and you know, it's a little bit extra for the rich light. It's $100 more for the carbon fiber, which I love carbon fiber, but it's not the best material for a kitchen knife handle. It looks great, but man, the rich light just keeps your hand on the handle like it's supposed to. Not a full bolster, but where your finger goes, it is quite flat, and then it starts to run out, so you've got plenty of room for your finger. And yeah, it's a very good thing. So yeah, there's a ton of that where it is really cool. Okay, a ton of that where the finger rolls into it. The swedge that goes the whole way gives you a little bit of break if you're moving through soft material or other material that tends to stick to the blade. It gives it a breakaway point. If you're dealing with heavy, thick stuff, it's going to peel away. I mean, the job of this geometry is to peel it away before it gets to there. So things like this are really more about softer or more moist materials. As they roll over, they don't get caught on that. They can kind of roll back and then come back together. Sort of like a slipstream. Think of aerodynamic or hydrodynamic. So it is. And this long thin tip. How fantastic is that? All right. Right? Like, this is so cool, you guys. I get a little bit worked up on it because, well, I mean, how can you not? Man, how do I do it? Oh, that one might not be. There's got to be something here I can use. For goodness sakes. Oh, there we go. Maybe this will work. See if I can show this. I had trouble doing this particular demonstration earlier because this thing's so sharp I can't keep it on the seam very well. So I still can't. I have to bring it down here where I can keep it on the table flat. But it's just I mean, really? Like, oh, look, hey, there's a little fold. We'll just... It's so slicey. And this is stock. I haven't even stropped this, man. I have been using this since I got it, and I've not even stropped it. This is Benchmade's Factory Edge, and it is paper shaving sharp. Like, let me get to it again, like I said. Just gotta get the right angle and... Oh, no, I'm not. I know. Let me do it with a full sheet that I haven't compromised its stiffness. Oh, and now it's not working. Why does it? As I cut all those, watch it finally need a stropping as I'm doing it on video. Oh no, I just had to wipe it off. Trying to do it slow. If you do it fast, it's not even, right? If you do it fast, it's not even a contest. You're like, hey, what's that you're doing there? Oh, I gotta actually hit the edge here. There we go. Quit rubbing it on the fold. That sounded more dirty than I wanted it to. Anyway, but yeah. That is just about all I can say. I mean, what can you say about something that's really this just well built? Benchmade's known for doing it. I can tell you right now, you guys, if you're wondering about this thicker blade stock, you're like, oh, that'll make it tougher. Maybe I can take it. Don't worry about the blade stock. Don't. If you're someone that's like, you know, I don't want to take that rough and tumble. This is a fantastic little kitchen knife. Yeah, it's a little bit thick on the blade stock. How thick is it? 3 millimeter. Exactly 3 millimeter. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it is exactly 3 millimeter. What is that? It's approximately 1/8 of an inch. 0.118 or something like that. 0.120 is approximately it. It's approximately 1/8 of an inch blade stock. Probably been ground down to be that exactly 3 mils. So it's like 3.1, 3.2, something like that. 1/10 of a millimeter, 100th of an inch or less. Right? Actually, I should say 1/4 of a millimeter, 100th is a 100th of an inch. So yeah, there's all that. Whew, what a little beast of a knife. And with that, you guys, I don't know how else to say how fantastic this knife is. Going through the damn knives, the design. Obviously, it's slim. And while it's still hand filling. It's meant to be able to fit in the hand well while doing its job. The aesthetics, it looks this long. It's almost a reverse tanto. It really is. I mean, it really is just like this long, sort of Warncliffe-y style. Fantastic. The mechanics of it, I mean, on this one, I'm going to, instead of mechanics, I'm going to be like materials and workmanship, because this tiny, tiny bit of shadow boxing gives you a little bit of roundness. It's not enough. The edges aren't sharp or anything. It's just, I mean, it is like 100th of an inch. It is just this tiny little bit, but it gives it a little roundness instead of flat on the top. So it is a little round on there. The bolstering, again, as I mentioned in the beginning, it is some of the most perfect matchup I have ever seen. There just isn't anything to really even touch it. Like, you just can't. It's these things on the G10 make more. It is some of the best matchup of materials of bolstering I've ever seen on any knife. Very, very well done on that for the materials and workmanship. Noteworthy points on this is that it is an American-made knife. They're pretty much custom. You can get a straight one. They have in fact, I believe coming out in the first week of May, they have a couple of special editions coming out that look really, really cool. Mount Rainier or something like that. So definitely keep your eye out for those. You know, as far as that goes, it's CPM 154. It's one of the best steels. It's been around for a long, long time, and it's still a really, really, really good knife steel. RWL34. What's the other one? There's another one that's essentially the same stuff. It's pretty good. It's really, really good steel. Especially as an overall general knife steel. Good edge retention, good toughness, lots of pitting resistance with all that moly. Approximately 14 to 15% chromium, even with that high carbon content, gives you lots of chromium to help make it stainless. And the part of metallurgy gives you really tiny carbide, so it's tough. It's really hard to go wrong here. I mean, the intended purpose on this, they call it a station knife. It's essentially it's like a chef preps knife. I don't want to say sous chef or anything like that, but like if you're doing a prep station, if you're prepping for the day, I mean, this is a station knife. You're at the prep station, done. And it is good. Oh, it's good. I mean, what can I tell you? There's a little bit of belly, so you can do rocking cuts, you push cuts. Everything goes natural with it. The intended purpose is in every part of the design. You have these little bolsters here that instead of being pins, give you a nice see-through. And I mean, honestly, if you were to use this as an outdoor knife, it gives you multiple lanyard loops where you can wrap it around your hand. So if you're doing something, right, if you let go, I mean, the balance point is basically right there where that bolster is or where that hole is. So you could do it there. The hanging here, so if you need to, like if you hang your knives, you can definitely do that. This is one of my only kitchen knives I don't put on my magnetic rack because honestly, I don't want to mess up that. I don't want to put a particular marking on it where it goes on the rack. I really don't want to do it with this knife, and that's really strange for me to do with a kitchen knife that I want to use it all the time, but I don't want to mark it up. It's that cool. Cost to value ratio. This is a hard one. I'm going to go with something real quick here just to give an idea of the way I look at it. Let's say it's a $400 knife. You can make it more expensive, you can make it cheaper, but let's just go with 400. Number one, because it's an even number that I can use for good math, for easy quick math. If I have this knife for 10 years, it's $40 a year that it costs me here. I don't have to pay to resharpen it if I don't want to. I just got to pay for shipping and send it to Benchmade, and they will fix everything on this knife. If there's anything wrong with it that is due to materials workmanship for the life of the knife, they build it to last. So I can count on years of use from this as long as I don't abuse it, right? I can count on years of use. 10 years for a knife, for a lot of people don't even know what it's like to keep a kitchen knife for 10 years, for crying out loud. Most people go out, buy a $20 or $30 knife that lasts them maybe a few months before the edge is gone. It starts chipping up because they can't cut anymore. They have to push it through a tomato instead of cut through a tomato. Like, you're spending money on that year after year after year, just pumping steel in and out of the system. Yeah, it'll probably steel is one of the most recycled materials after things like concrete and stuff like that. But yeah, man, this will replace you having to do that. And especially if you're looking for, like, I used to love my prep knife. I still do. This thing is still really cool with it really thin. It's relatively light. It's easy to maneuver around. This does everything it does and better. It really is. It really is that good. And so there's a high cost, but there's a high value to it. This is a kitchen knife. This isn't something you might use it every day, but you may even use it a couple times a day, but you're using it for a very specific purpose and probably on a cutting board, hopefully, or something like it. So the opportunities for abuse are still there, but if you're spending this much money on a knife, hopefully you know how to not do that. Which brings me to the expectations requests part. The nicer part, the ease on there. I expected this to be good. I expected it to be cool. It blew me away. It is absolutely fantastic. This is a great kitchen. I don't know anyone who cooks who couldn't use this knife. I really don't. You can get this. This is a fantastic, anyone who cooks regularly, does prep, makes their own food, There is no reason you couldn't get this for a gift for them. If you are one of those people, find out if someone's trying to get this for you. It's not that you can't use two, but why spend, double the money if you're already going to get it? Or just get one for them too. End up giving it to them. There's no reason. The worst part about this is if you have kids or something like that and you don't want to put this in a dishwasher. But yeah, you don't put it in a dishwasher. You'll probably see, if I hadn't put the carnauba wax on here, which by the way, I used a food safe carnauba wax, which is the most important thing. Things like mineral oil or anything that's food safe, you want to make sure you can oil the handles, right? It won't take long for the paper micarta to start showing through. You start getting like the white, it starts to look worn, it starts to look like more blue, it starts to look like denim. Quite honestly, it starts to look like blue jean material if in this color. They have another color, I believe they call it Maple Valley. It almost looks kind of like an old bone kind of color. And that probably shows through a little bit less. It's more of a natural paper look, so you'll probably see it less. For me, I kind of like the blue color. It's one of my, if anyone hasn't watched this channel or seen anything, blue is one of my favorites. But the fact that it starts to wear down to look like a blue jean material that is solid and isn't like stringy or anything like that is actually kind of a cool thing for me. Which really starts to bring me to the end of this, because there is nothing but 5 stars for this knife. Here's the request that comes with it. Can I get a chef knife? Can I get a chef knife? Can you boom, give me a chef knife too. Not the one you guys already got. I didn't like it. Just give me this rounded to there. Seriously. Just boink. That's... Okay? So, boink. 8 inches. Give me an 8-inch chef knife. That's my request. Give me more. This is, the chef knife that you guys have is nice, that Benchmade has is nice, but it doesn't have as high of a blade height, which for me is important for the geometry. And I would want one that's long with this kind of belly. I don't want it to be more straight, which a lot of chef knives have less belly, or they have this flat, so you can go and then you have a flat spot to chop right here where you go and then, right, you can do the rock. And that's hard to show if you're not looking at it straight on, but you do the rock, right? So you got a flat spot, then you've got some belly, right? And this end matches it. I don't care about the flat spot, man. Give me a bigger one. Give me more. That's my request, because this is 5 stars, and I'd love to have a matching set where it just looks like a chef knife and this are matched, right? I don't even need a paring knife, man. That's my only request, is I want more. So this has been really long, but it's a fantastic knife. 5 stars. Highly recommended if you can afford it. And really for a kitchen knife, like, we talk about things like this all the time. I mean, if we are really, really super concerned about how much knives cost, like, there's a reason these things are Grail knives, right? There's a reason some of these high cost things. Let's see if I can pull out. Right? Not everything is all about size when it comes to cost, because quite honestly, these 2 knives cost about the same amount of money. Close enough. It really isn't that much different in the cost on those. And I use this one way more. This one is far more useful in my life and will continue to be for much, much longer. Just plain as that. So the value's there. The design is well thought out and impeccably executed. The materials, workmanship, and mechanics of it, I can't find anything to nitpick. I really can't. I mean, it really is like, I'm trying, you guys. Like, I want to. What's the